My early stage startup needs funding. You're in the early stages of building your startup, and you want to raise funding to get to the next stage. In today's video, I'll explain exactly what your realistic options are, what your options aren't, and exactly what you should do when you need funding to get to that next stage. I hope you like it. Hi, I'm Brett. On my channel, I help early stage startup CEOs like you raise money and grow your startup. So if this sounds like you, then hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. Let's get started. Why you want to raise funding. I'll start with my own fundraising story. The first funding I raised for my company was $12 million from two leading Silicon Valley venture capital firms. All my co-founders and I had to convince investors to invest in our company was a 15-slide pitch deck. That's it. We had no traction. We had no customers. We had no product in the market. Now here's what I didn't tell you. I was an entrepreneur in residence at a San Francisco-based VC fund when I founded my company. So I had a built-in advantage. Yet, even with that advantage, it took over 2 years for us to raise our funding. And it was a long, tough 2 years. I'll get back to this later in the video. The point is that you can raise money with just a pitch deck, but we were the exception, not the rule. There are 5 likely reasons you want to raise funding. Number 1, you need funding to get started. Number 2, you need funding for an MVP. Number 3, you need funding for marketing and sales. Number 4, you need funding to build your team. Number 5, you need funding to grow your company and get to cash flow positive. Let's go through each of these situations. I'll examine what your funding options are and what your funding options aren't. You need funding to get started. This was the situation my company was in when we raised our initial $12 million in funding. As I said earlier, we were the exception, not the rule. The type of company I was building, a semiconductor company, needs lots of capital to get started. We had no choice but to raise a lot of money. The reason we were successful was that my team and I were experienced and we had a previous track record of success. We would have never raised our money without our track record. Where does the initial funding for startups come from? The initial funding for most startups comes from 3 sources. The first source is you and your team. The second source is your friends, and the third source is your family. I know this sounds unfair, but this is the reality. It's on you to find a way to get your company off the ground. Now I feel your pain. However, I want to be real with you. Professional investors will not care about how tough it is for you. That's why you'll have to find the money to get started from somewhere else. In other words, you're going to have to find a way. If you can't afford to take the risk of self-funding for an extended period of time, then you shouldn't start a company. How can you raise money with an MVP? But let's say you and your co-founder scrounge up the money to build an MVP. Can you raise money at this point? Let me give you a criteria to think about how much money, where you can raise it from based on the milestones you've just achieved and the market you are addressing. Investing in startups is milestone-based. In other words, how much money does your company need to get to the next major milestone? The money that you need is balanced against the potential return investors will get. For example, let's say you need $1 million to get to the next milestone. And let's say investors believe the best case outcome for your company is an exit of $10 million. And Let's further say that investors would own 20% of your company. It's highly unlikely that angel investors or VCs are going to fund you because the return is just not big enough for them. However, if you have a huge multi-billion-dollar opportunity, like Facebook did, then you might get an investor like Peter Thiel to invest the $1 million that you need, just like Facebook did. The general rule is the bigger the opportunity, the more money you can raise. But this doesn't mean you can raise unlimited amounts of money if you have a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. It does mean that you'll find it easier to raise enough funding to get to your next milestone. But remember, investors want to reduce risk, so they're not going to give you all of it at once. You want to raise enough money to give yourself at least 18 months of runway until you need more money. The reason you want to do this is because it typically takes around 6 months to raise a round of funding. That's the typical number, but it can take much longer. So it might actually become harder for you to raise 6 months of funding than 18 months of funding. How does revenue factor into your ability to raise money? You'll need revenue to be able to raise larger sums of money. Let me show you how this works. Here's the chart. Round size, monthly revenue. $50,000 to $500,000, you'll need $1,000 per month to $50,000 per month. $500,000 to $5 million round size means $50,000 to $500,000 per month in revenue. What can I do if I'm running out of money and I haven't gotten to the next milestone? This is where good financial management comes into play. The key is to be intellectually honest and see that you're going to run out of money. Then you have the ability to take action. There are two obvious ways you can extend your runway. The first way to extend your runway is if you can find ways to increase revenue quicker. An example might be to increase your advertising spend. However, the risk is you're increasing your spending with the hope of increasing your revenue. And what if you fail at that? Then you're dead. The second and more likely way to extend your runway is to reduce your spending. There are a few things you can do. The first thing you can do is reduce salaries like I did when I put myself and my team on minimum wage to give us the runway to close our next round of funding, which we did. The second thing you can do is perform layoffs to cut your overhead. I had to do this as well. The third thing you can do is delay your vendor payments. I also did this. You do whatever you need to do is the point. The key with these actions is to see the problem early. Then your actions can actually extend your runway. I know the idea of layoffs and salary reductions are tough things to tell your team, and they're tough things to do. However, the more transparent you are with your team, the more loyalty your team will show you. Now, if this content is resonating with you, then please hit the like button right now. One final thought. It's okay to get a loan. A loan is another tool in your toolkit. The best time to get a loan, not surprisingly, is when you don't need the money. So you need to see that you're likely going to run out of money way ahead of when you'll actually need the money and way ahead of when you're going to hit that milestone. The positive of getting a loan is you don't give up any equity. The negative is you're increasing your spending because you have to pay back the principal and interest over time. Now, what did you learn from today's video? Put your answer in the comments column below today's video. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments column too, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Now, I have one more thing for you today. It's my free startup pitch deck template. It has all the slides you need to develop an awesome pitch deck. Click the link below today's video, and it's yours for free. And for more great content, click on the video at the end of today's video. And if you haven't already, then click the subscribe button to get notified every time I release a new video. I'm Brett, at brettjfox.com. Thanks for watching today. Take care. Bye.